Today, me and my friend were driving on the road, and we came up with a question: what makes cereal cereal? So we started brainstorming. We started going through the items that could be cereal: rocks and milk, bread and milk, and lastly, mac and cheese. The last one was the most reasonable one, and so we looked it up. We researched. We had an hour and 40 minutes on a car trip. And the result may frighten you. Macaroni and cheese is a cereal. Let me explain. Your typical cereal is made with wheat or grains, and then they turn it into a shape, and then they put it in a box, add whatever flavor they want to. Captain Crunch, Frosted Flakes, freaking Raisin Bran. Those are your typical cereals. Now, by definition, cereal is a grain used for food such as wheat, oats, or corn. A breakfast food made from roasted grain typically eaten with milk. Now, if I take you over to the Kraft mac and cheese instructions, we look at the side of the box. You boil noodles in water, make them soft, you drain them off, and you add margarine or butter, cheese sauce mix, and milk. Now at this point, most of you skeptics are probably like, well, it said breakfast food. Cereal is a breakfast food. Joke's on you, I don't have a girlfriend. I have time to look this up. The definition of breakfast is a meal eaten in the morning, the first of the day. Now, you look at the morning part and say, well, mac and cheese is eaten during lunch. A lot of people don't even eat lunch at noon or after. Now, if we're going by this kind of morning, afternoon, and night definition, you would have to say that you're eating brunch. That term was made because it's not exactly breakfast and it's not exactly lunch. You might eat a sandwich for brunch. You might eat mac and cheese for brunch. You might go out with your coworkers, go get ramen noodles for brunch. You could eat anything for brunch as long as it's a lunch food. And this skewing between brunch and breakfast is kind of confusing, but the original definition of breakfast is to break fast. Now, for those who don't know what fasting is, it's not eating for a prolonged period of time or for a period of time at all. From whenever you go to bed to whenever you wake up is hours. You wait hours to eat because you're sleeping. And to break your fast, breakfast is to eat the first meal of the day. So, if you think about it, your first meal of the day, you could wake up at 11 because you had a late night gaming with the boys. Since, once again, I have no girlfriend, I can relate to this. You wake up at 11 and you go downstairs or upstairs or go down the hallway, depending on how your house is organized, and you go to the kitchen and to find your mom or your dad or your sister making mac and cheese because that's their lunch. And if going by definitions, brunch. But for you, that's your first meal of the day. Making mac and cheese or any lunch item a breakfast food. Now you may be saying, well, mac and cheese doesn't have to have milk. You're right, it doesn't. Some people just add cheese. They just add Velveeta. They might add just cheddar. They might add anything, mozzarella, whatever you want to add to your mac and cheese. And you think that burns a hole through my argument, but I'm hyped up on 2 cans of G Fuel, about to go freaking insane. So I'm about to prove you wrong. If we go back to the definition of cereal, we see that it's a breakfast food made from roasted grain, typically eaten with milk. That's what I said earlier. I don't think I have dementia. I remember that pretty well. Let's enhance on the definition. Typically eaten with milk. Typically. Now, I don't know about you, but I love Captain Crunch. In the morning, sometimes when there's a box available, I don't even eat it with milk. I enjoy the flavor of Captain Crunch. I think a lot of cereals taste great without milk, and they don't need milk. Milk is there to complement the food. Now, another question arises in your head. You boil macaroni. You add water. You don't make it a solid piece of cereal anymore. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Do you eat oatmeal just by itself? Most of you probably said, what the frick is oatmeal? I've never eaten oatmeal. I use freaking Crave or Captain Crunch. And with that, you need to broaden your horizons. What the frick are you doing? But the people that said yes, they eat oatmeal, they usually add milk, maybe brown sugar, and it becomes soggy. Using this argument that macaroni, you have to boil it to make it soft, is a good argument. But once something becomes soft, does that not make it cereal anymore? Once your Frosted Flakes get too filled with milk, does that just make it meal? Is it cornmeal? You take everything we learned today. Cereal being a breakfast food made from roasted grain. Breakfast being the first meal of the day. And macaroni being made from roasted grain. And then macaroni and cheese made typically with milk and cheese. That makes macaroni cereal. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go curl up over there since I live in my mom's basement and think about my life decisions. This is so stupid.